Hi, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you're part of the Create with Kelley crew and joining me this evening for a Facebook Live. I am excited to show you a card, but I'm going to tease you and not show you because I don't have one finished yet. Once again, I have created one in my head and kind of have cut some pieces, and I'm using this beautiful paper from Expressions in Ink. Let me see if I can, how much I can get on camera here. We've got, these are the pages that I'm using, and I just think they're absolutely gorgeous. Hope you agree. We will create a card together tonight, and if you'll give me just a sec, let me get my iPad and computer going so I can see your comments. Let's see here, I'll refresh that page. Hopefully I've got everything going here properly. Let's make sure I have my iPad turned off volume-wise. Let's see here, refresh. So glad again. Hi Eileen, glad you're tuning in. I'm kind of still getting my technology part going. I see you're watching and I'm glad you're here. Y'all let me know where you're from if you're not from the Lubbock area and I haven't seen you before online. Hi, Tanya. Just see you when you get finished with dinner. That'll be great. I understand it's kind of difficult to work everything in, but hopefully y'all can watch the replay if you can't watch the whole video tonight. So I am excited once again to bring you some Expressions in Ink cards. Let me get one more thing on my iPad here going with my feed. See if it'll refresh here where I can see comments. Let me see real quickly, because you can't really do this ahead of time. You have to wait until you start. So that makes it a little tricky to kind of get everything going. But I can see the comments on my phone, but when I turn it down so that y'all can watch me make a card, the comments disappear. So I'm gonna try to get them going here where I have a couple of places I can watch. So, all right, I think I've got it. By Jove, by golly. What do y'all say? Do y'all say by golly or by gosh or by Jove? I've heard a lot of those. I don't know where they all come from. But once again, I'll introduce myself. It's just barely a little bit after 7:15. So I'm Kelley Pitts, independent Stampin' Up demonstrator since 2005. And I call everybody who tunes in and joins a part of my Create with Kelley crew. I have a Create with Kelley Captains Club, which are my team members, and some of those tune in each week and are loyal, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate all of you new folks out there who are tuning in and want to watch me make a card. So hope you enjoy it tonight. Again, we're using the Expressions in Ink suite, and it is currently not orderable, but it should be back in stock where you can order it in June, later this month. So it was so popular. Everybody loved it just like I did. So this is just going to whet your appetite until you're able to order it and get your hands on it yourself. But be sure and add it to your wish list if you like the card that I'm making. And again, I can't hold it up because I haven't finished it yet. We're going to finish it together. Okay, well, I am going to turn the camera down and get started on a card for you. Let's see what we can do here. Okay, hang on a minute and I will be right back with you. I'm going to cover this up. I don't want anybody getting seasick or anything like that, motion sick. So hopefully this will get it where it needs to be. I'm a little behind on, there's kind of a delay in what I see and what you see. So hopefully we're kind of in the camera range here where we need to be. I think we might be a little tad close, but let's see here. I'm going to raise it up just a little bit. See if we can get that right where we want it. So you've got plenty of room. And I need to do my little switcheroo thing. Just a second, and you'll be able to see this a lot better. There we go. All good to go. Okay, tonight We are, for our crafty happy hour, what are y'all drinking for your happy hour? I'm still on water, but I was about ready to switch to whiskey earlier because I went to the dentist this afternoon and got my teeth cleaned. And I would just about rather do anything else. I have a wonderful dentist and certainly a good dental hygienist, but those noises, that scraping noise just about does me in every time. I tell you, I have to have gas and I have to have headphones with my good old country music going so that I can tolerate it for long enough to get my teeth cleaned. Is anybody else that way? Hi, Judy. Glad you're tuning in with coffee. I bet Tanya maybe will come back with a glass of wine. She's having dinner. And I'm just having my boring water. Okay, we're going to get started here. I have chosen Old Olive cardstock, and I don't have everything written down because I just made this a few minutes ago. Just kind of put the pieces together. But this is 8 1/4 by 4 1/4, and it's scored at 5 1/2 like you normally would. So this part is the typical quarter of a sheet or one side of the cardstock. So when you cut your 8 1/2 by 11 in half at 4 1/4, you'll have this, and then you'll chop it off a little bit on the left to make this. You'll have a 2 3/4 inch flap. So that means that the paper that you're going to put on here is going to be 2 1/2. And I'm just going to tease you and let you watch as I go here. We're going to see what we come up with. I'm not going to spoil the whole thing. We're going to start just on this little front flap, and you're just going to have to use your imagination. Uh-oh, I hate using two sides of I'm glad we have both sides, but it is difficult sometimes to cover up this beautiful foil paper. And I just started with a new Stampin' Seal, so you got to get that going. Kind of hold, when you're using a Stampin' Seal, hold it parallel to your table surface and be sure to kind of rock it back onto itself and snap that tape. It's basically glue tape, a strip, and you need to make sure you end it or it will pop like it did then. So you gotta practice with it a little bit before you get great at it. But we are going to use this other side of the paper, don't worry, on another part of the card. So on the front though, we're going to stick with this. That it has some Old Olive in it. It has some of the deeper colors. I really like the Old Olive better than the Pear Pizzazz. It kind of looks like it has some Pear Pizzazz, maybe some Granny Apple Green. Just has a lot of different greens in there. It is just a gorgeous paper. Okay, so this is called a Joy Fold card. I don't know if you've made a Joy Fold. I think this is actually my first one. And I watched a Mary Knabe, Knabe. She has Stampin' Peace, and she did a Joy Fold card with the Hyacinth bundle recently. And I was playing with these papers and decided I would try it tonight for our little online Facebook Live. So hope you enjoy it. Now we're going to get to show the other side of the paper. And we're going to go ahead, and you could use your, whoops, I didn't do it like I need to practice what I preach, huh? Okay, I'm going to do it sideways. I think this will be easier for me. Trying to keep on camera where y'all can see what I'm doing here. And then it makes it an awkward angle for me. But I will survive. It's all about you. I want to show y'all how to, hopefully I can inspire you to get a little creative and have a little fun with this Expressions in Ink suite. Who all out there? Hi Jennifer, glad you tuned in. And anybody, I would appreciate you sharing. I didn't get a chance to contact my regular peeps. I got really busy. I was at the dentist a lot longer today than I thought I would be, so I didn't get my usual reminders out. Okay, how gorgeous is that? I mean, that's a pretty card right there. And it's easy, easy, easy. But we're going to do a little bit more. I know you're not surprised because I am used to doing a little bit extra. So it's kind of what I'm known for, I guess. But I love working with beginners on simple cards, and I love the casual crafters who just craft every now and then, and maybe they don't have everything they need in their craft room. And I'm happy to help them decide what they do need. But tonight, it's kind of in between, I guess. If you want to stop making your card kind of at a certain stage, if you don't have the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, perhaps to do some die cuts, then you would stop at one place, and I'm going to go a little bit further than that. Alrighty. We've got that seal down now. We're going to, on the inside here, and it looks like I did something to this. I don't know if y'all will be able to see that. We may have to fix that online. Somehow I have some little dots here. We're going to use our bone folder and see if we can get those out of there. It's like a little, almost like a little bubble or a dot or something. We're going to see if we can kind of smooth those out a little bit. Sure enough, it's a magic tool. And it wasn't it wasn't glue. I'm not sure what I did to get those little dots or bubbles, but the bone folder certainly does help, not only with your scores on your card, but it certainly helps to smooth out areas where you might have a problem area otherwise. How about that? Now, isn't that pretty? Alrighty, now we're going to go take one extra little step here, and we're going to make this a joy fold. And that, I have made this card, the ones that I have seen online are a little bit larger than this. What's going to happen is we're going to glue this in the center of this DSP, this 5 1/4. And I'll tell you what size this is. It is 7 1/2 by 2 3/4. I shaved off a little bit of it. It should be 2 3/4. 2 3/4 by 7 1/2 little piece. And we're going to glue that right there in the middle. I'm going to see if I can get a little bit better score. I was rushing around trying to get this done, and I didn't think I didn't quite score that exactly in the middle. I've got a little glue here I'm trying to get rid of. There we go. Now, all right, and this flap that's called the Joy Fold, like I said, Joy Fold card, goes right in the middle, and then you'll flap it over here. And then we're going to use this pretty paper too. This is the Pale Papaya. It's one of the new in colors for 21 or 22 to 23. Hi, Tanya. Glad to see you. Thanks for coming back. Glad y'all are done with dinner. Hope you had a great one. I'm sure you did, since you're a great cook. Okay, on this, I'm going to get some input from y'all. We've got a couple of options here. And I'm thinking what I want to do. I have used let me show you the punch that I used. That's called the Lovely Labels Pick-a-Punch. And all I did was insert this into here. And you really watch as you do this. You kind of make sure it's a little bit under an inch. An inch is really a snug fit. This goes 1 inch, 3/4 inch, and 1/2 inch. So I've done the whole inch, but I'm going to look on the bottom and make sure that I'm all the way to the very back of the punch, or the top, whichever way you want to look at it, but shoved all the way back, and that it's even in the tracks. And then you just punch. Easy as pie. And then you have this gorgeous little end to it, and one of the ends on the punch is squared off, and one of them, sorry if that's a glare, I can't really tell. This one's more curved, this one has a little squared off end. So my plan is, let's go ahead and get the end of the Joy Fold done. We'll go ahead and add that in. I'm going to use a little liquid glue on that one because we want to make sure we have a little bit of wiggle room. Get that down really good. And we'll just center that in the middle. If y'all want to take your ruler and measure that, exactly where that is, that would be grand. I just eyeball it. And usually turns out pretty well. So I'm going to do that right there, and then it will flap over here. So you've got about the same amount of space all the way around. And that is called your joy fold. Now, what I'm thinking is we're going to attach this here, and then I'm going to chop this to wherever we decide. Put it on here, on the front. And I'm trying to decide if we want to use a ribbon or a die cut. I cut this die cut out, and it's from the Artistically Inked. This is the stamp set that I used on the thanks. This is the bundle that is in that suite. And the dies are, they're called Artistic Dies. And this is the one, if y'all watched the Facebook Live last week, we used this flower. And then these flowers cut out the flowers that are on the stamp set, which is awesome. So they are just beautiful. But this one I think is a gorgeous piece. And I have cut it, I have die cut it already out of gold foil. And it looks like I didn't quite poke all the little pieces out. We've got a little pokey tool we can do that with. And you have to be pretty careful with this. It is delicate. Ouch. And so is your finger. I didn't get my trash can over here right where I need it, but we're going to make do for the moment with this. So just use your little pokey tool. Make sure you've got all those out. Or not. There's a lot of people who leave some of them in, and that is definitely a different look. And that's totally up to you. If you want to leave them in, leave them in. Leave a few in, leave a few out. Or you can make sure they're all out. It just is kind of a different look. It might look funny if you just have one or two left in instead of a random missing and random random pieces in and most of the pieces out, I guess. I don't know how to explain that. But I thought this would be really pretty to do if we used, and I'm going to put that die up before I lose it. And I have some little magnetic sheets. Stampin' Up! Does not sell the magnetic sheets, but you can get them at a lot of different places. So that's what's on here. I just wanted to let you know the dies don't come with that on there. All right, let's see. I've still got one straggler over here. Okay. So what do y'all think about the gold piece? I'm going to trim it down a bit, of course, because it's longer than it should be. Hang on, I just lost the feed on my computer. So I can't see your comments now. So let me go back to it. We're going to leave this page and try to refresh it. Hope y'all are still there with me. Here we go. Now I'm back. Technical difficulties. There we go. Okay. So I would say that's one option, is to do the gold piece like that. I've tried the gold here, but I don't think it's as pretty on the papaya as it is on the olive, just because leaves are green, you know, so in my mind, that's kind of what it says. But I thought we might cut one or two of these off and put them here with this on the thanks, or we can go with wrapping a ribbon around this piece. And I didn't really want it to show on the inside here, but it could. We could decide that too. We've got a woven ribbon in the pale papaya that would be pretty. We could do just a ribbon around and then have the thanks underneath. We could do the other ribbon, which I was thinking we might just take. I didn't bring my good ribbon scissors in here. but I was thinking we might want to try it this way. Let's move the gold out of the way for now while we all decide what you think here. My thought process was to maybe zigzag this underneath the thanks like that, or it'd have to go this way. Let's go this way. And this is just kind of how I play. So when I'm creating, I don't know if this is the way y'all do it. There's no right or wrong way. Just whatever makes you happy. Whatever floats your boat, as they say. So we could just take that ribbon on the thanks and have a pretty look behind it. Cut that. Okay, so that's one. Let's call that the W ribbon. It's kind of in a W, the sheer ribbon. Glad you're here, Jennifer. Or we could do a bow and put it around the thanks little sheet or little label, little greeting. Something like this. With your little bow here. I know some people are not bow people. And maybe use some gems. Do you like the bow? Do you like the bow with the green? Do you like... I think I'm going to go ahead and chop this thanks. Well, I need to know though if we're going to do a ribbon or not. I think I may go ahead and glue that and then let it show on the inside. That'll be easier for us to figure out. Okay, sheer ribbon and use a leaf from the gold. Okay, let's tie this around here. See how this works. Make sure I'm on the camera so y'all can kind of see what I'm working with here. Tie us a little bow. May have to just wrap it and tie one like I did a minute ago. I don't know why it's harder to do one on camera than it is to do one when you're in your own craft room all by yourself. Okay, we're going to give it a try with these scissors. Yay! That worked. Let's see which way we want our bow to go. And anytime you're adjusting the little loops, if you'll hold it in the middle really tight, then you can play with your loops a little without making a big mess. We could do this. If we're not using the gold leaf over there, use that there. We can see if we can move that all the way to the end. And then have a little sticking out. And then we can use a gold leaf in here, or we can use a few of these here. I think it's pretty on the green. Let's just cut some of these off so we can tell what we're doing here. We know it can't hang off the card that much, so let's cut it to there at the very least. I can straighten that up a little bit. And these hanging down as a branch, I thought, kind of keeps the flow of the card going this way. Whereas if you stick them like this, it points you out of the card. And I don't really like that. So that's where I'm coming from with as if the gold leaves were hanging down from a branch. What do y'all think of that? If I'll cut that off, of course. Down is best. I like the bow. Y'all still good on this? And then maybe I'll stick a little leaf in here and a little gold doohickey there. Y'all like the sheer bow? Leave it, glue it, do it. Awesome. All right, Tanya, thanks for that. Okay, I'm gonna chop this off. Try to. Just lost my... I did find my score tool, those of y'all who knew I was missing it after the little play day we had. I could not find it anywhere, and my husband finally found it, I think, in the floorboard of the car or something. It had totally come off my trimmer. In transit. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and glue this. We're just going to put a little glue on that ribbon and a little bit. You don't want to get too thick with this liquid glue on foil paper because it is thin. So sometimes it'll show your little squiggle marks, but it shouldn't, since we're going to be showing this side of the paper as opposed to the foiled side. Okay, so now we have the ribbon wrapped around that sheet, so it's not just one little bit hanging off inside. Okay, and I really think the leaves are pretty, so do it, do it. I'm going to go ahead and stick the leaves, and then we'll figure out where we want the additional ones. And if you know that you're going to be doing these leaves flat, and which ones you're using, you can go ahead and use the sticky sheet on the back of the leaves. But I did not plan ahead to be able to do that, so we are going to do this. And instead of making a mess even on my silicone mat, which I could lay this down and do that, but since I already had it in my fingers, I thought, well, we'll just try this. Just be careful and try not to get too much because you don't want it to ruin that foil. It kind of dulls it a little bit. Okay. So we're just going to go to the edge so that it looks like that was intended as it was. And the whole leaf doesn't have to be glued down, but I would glue this one because it may interfere with the corner of that card closing. So we're going to make sure that one's down. But these, if they're sticking up a little bit, I think that's fine. I think it's pretty. It adds to it. And then see, when you open it, that'll just be that gorgeous curve of leaves. Isn't that pretty? I like it. Okay. Now we're going to do a little white sheet for the inside. We're going to stamp on it and put a little greeting in there. And we'll go ahead and do the thanks. I'm going to pop it up on dimensionals. I know y'all are surprised to hear that. Nobody's commenting. Thank you, Tanya. I do love this paper. I just could not decide how I wanted to use it. I have another idea of using the flower like we did last week, the gold foil flower. So we'll have to do that another week. Just didn't get to it today. And I'm not a right in the middle kind of gal, so I'm gonna do this a little bit down. I think I made it a little too long. I'm gonna chop it a little bit. And I really should have chopped it on the trimmer first, but I was chit-chatting. So we will hope that that is close enough to the edge there. There we go. Since you've got the accent of the gold leaves up here, I think it's good to have this a little further down. And be sure, I would recommend doing this with your bone folder before you glue it down. I guess I did not do that very well. And we've still got to do this one a little bit more, so it'll lay a little flatter. We'll get the ribbons out of the way. And I thought we'll decide on our final touches on the outside in just a minute. We will stamp the inside sentiment. And I'm just going to stamp the little flower. This is the one that kind of coordinates with the paper. We're going to do that flower in pale papaya and these leaves, and I'm going to stamp off so it won't be too dark. And I have sticky all over my fingers. Let's see what I can do about that. I forgot to bring my little, whenever I set up a class here in my house, which I have great room for classes. If anybody lives in the Lubbock area and is interested in classes, you can go to my blog at createwithkelley.com and find out about those. We've got some coming up this month. I have kind of a little classroom set up, so it's easy to host 6 people. And then I have room for 2 in another room, so I can actually do 8. If anybody is interested in doing kind of a girls' night out or just coming to one of my classes, I'd love to have you. You can just check out my schedule on my blog at createwithkelley.com. Just Kelley is K-E-L-L-E-Y. So you have to spell it the right way for it to come up properly. Otherwise, you won't find me. Okay. We're going to get this ribbon out of the way and go with, I thought this would be pretty to use with the, since we have thanks on the outside, I'm going to put You Are Special on the inside. And that comes from the Tasteful Touches Cling Stamp Set. We're going to be using this greeting. Although the good things in life are better with you would be pretty too. You're the best. I just thought that this font and the thanks font worked fine together. This one's a little bolder, but it still kind of reminds me of each other. So I like that, and I like the sentiment. So that's what we're going to use. I'm going to stamp the sentiment first. I'm going to kind of do it in the upper left-hand corner. And this is the first time I've used this stamp, so I'm going to stamp off here on some scratch paper. Make sure all is well. Just kind of look at it whenever you're stamping. Just do the little tap, tap, tap on these new stamp pads. That's all you need to do. This one looks a little rough. Looks like I might need to change my blade on my trimmer. And if you'll line it up on your grid paper, I always use my Stampin' Pierce mat to stamp with, especially with photopolymer stamps, but I usually use it even with the red rubber stamps like this, the cling stamps. So we've got the You Are Special, and we're going to set that aside, and I was going to clean it with my little chamois, but I can't reach it, so yeah, maybe I can. We'll show you the little Stampin' Chamois. If y'all don't happen to have one of these, just clean your stamps off there, lickety split. And you just wet these with water, and you can store them in a stamp case that's sold by Stampin' Up also. Alrighty, I'm going to close, nope, not going to close that up. I'm just going to stamp the flower in pale papaya. Move that ink out of the way before I get my arm in it. And I'm not sure if I've used this stamp or not yet, so I'm going to practice with it. Sometimes they get a little oil on them. Yeah, I think that's going to work. So I've stamped off, and I'm just going to go kind of here in the corner, just stamp straight down, straight up, try not to wiggle. Woo, that is very soft. Okay, well, let's do this. We're just going to do it again. And then if it's too dark, we're going to flip it over and do it on the other side. Whoa! That's kind of pretty two-tone. Let's see. Let's let that dry just a little bit while we stamp our leaves, and then we'll decide if that's too dark once we put it inside the card. Okay, I think the Old Olive may definitely be too dark, so we're going to try it. There we go. Stamped off is better on that one since it is so dark. But I think that's going to work. Let's put it inside the card and see what we think about that. Move this out of the way momentarily till we decide. What do y'all think? I think with all this dark here on the background paper that's fine. I think we need that depth. That gives it a little texture there. Okay, so here we have that. While y'all are letting me know, I think that's pretty, and that'll work just with the pale papaya here, I think. I was considering putting this over here. Y'all can let me know if you think it needs that on the inside of the card. Does that make it look more finished? Or do you think it takes away from the message? It's the same one, bringing the same pattern that's on the front. So we would have it open like that. You'd open this. Do you want to see this again? I think the gold would be too much with the gold there. But I think that has potential. Leave inside plain, Jennifer thinks. No, I think the DSP on the inside. Thank you, Susan. Okay, we have to have a contest here. I'm going to go ahead and glue this down if y'all like it. And then y'all decide plain inside or DSP inside, not the gold. That doesn't work, but this might work. Y'all give me a vote. We've got Tanya is for the DSP. Judy is no, you could write on that flap. So Susan, you may, oh, Eileen's saying plain inside. So we've got 1, 2, we've got 3 plains and 1 DSP so far. Susan, you going to weigh in? Okay. Plain inside. Okay, I'm going to, I think this is just the font, but it looks like it may have missed just a teeny bit of that E. I'm going to use the Stampin' Right marker to kind of fill that in just a tad there. Just looks a little tiny bit off. So that is really handy to have the markers that coordinate with the inks. Okay. Glad y'all like the card, those of you who are just tuning in. And I'm going to get these stamps clean, and then we'll figure out which embellishments we want to use. If we want to use some little gems. I'm thinking about the genial gems and hope that they're in here with me. And then we'll decide if we want to do that or if we need another little leaf on the other side of the thanks, or kind of what we need. All right. We can also do okay, we've got more plain, so we're going to leave the inside plain on this one, but of course if it's your card, you could design it any way you want. Do it your way. I think that flower needs a little bit of Wink of Stella. So even though it's on the inside, we are going to wink it. Wink it good. Y'all remember that song? I believe it was whip it good. Which was not grammatically correct, but it was still a popular song nonetheless. Okay, we're gonna, I think that really jazzes that up a bit. And if y'all think you need more of a place to write, we could do white on this flap too. Y'all could add that if you decide to. So I'm going to trim this a teeny bit more ribbon here. Okay. Now, I still didn't get that quite. Didn't use my bone folder early enough here. See if I can get that underneath that. I made a little crease. Y'all don't do what I did. Made a little crease on my white, but the bow's going to hide it, I think. Pretty much. All right, and we need a little glue dot to hold that bow in place. I'm going to use a little take a pick tool, and you can just grab your glue dot there and then stick it right under where you want that bow to stay. Right under the knot. Okay. Now, I'm going to get one of those genial gems. Hopefully. They may all be in my car. Let's see. While y'all are looking at this card, I'm going to grab those little gems, and I'll be right back. Oh, well, let's close it up. All right, I'm back. Don't leave. Alrighty, we are going to get this glue out of the way. Since these are self-adhesive gems. And I think we're going to need maybe one big one. This has two colors, kind of a golden papaya color. What do y'all think of that? It's not too late. I didn't push it down too hard. So if you don't think it needs it, and then we could scatter a couple of other ones here of the smaller. What do y'all think? Do you like those? I'm just barely gonna stick it there. This only has two sizes, the small and large. And I usually try to do kind of a triangle with the greeting in the middle. We'll see what y'all think. Yay, sparkle. Yes. Okay, glad y'all like it. So that is a pretty simple card. In my opinion, the way I do things, it's pretty simple, right? A simple little joy fold. And I just kind of decided where the glitter dots went based on the paper itself. It kind of had those little swatches there, so I thought that helped to add those to that area. So there's our card for the evening. I'm glad y'all like it. Glad I'm seeing some hearts there. I wanted to let you know again that this paper is not available to order right now, but it will be later this month. And this is all from the Expressions in Ink suite. You can get the entire suite that's on page 96 and 97 of the catalog. The entire suite with the stamp set that we use, the die set that we use, the artistically inked bundle. If you just get the stamp set and the dies, the bundle is $53. If you get the little gold ephemera pack and the designer series paper that we use tonight, the full suite is $75. So it is gorgeous. Whenever it comes available later this month, I would say get that on your wish list now. And we had talked about adding one little gold leaf over here. We'll let y'all decide if we're going to do that before I flip the camera back around. And if anybody has any questions about how I do classes or what's available or anything like that, let me know. I usually do a paper pumpkin class, and for Paper Pumpkin subscribers, that's our monthly craft kit. These are kind of big for right here, I'm thinking. Might could use a partial one. You might could die cut some leaves from that set, from the dies if you wanted. What are y'all thinking? The leaves are too much, or you like one, or you like two, or You like them with the bow? You like them... I could cut them down just a little bit. What do you think of those? Good night, Tanya. Thanks for coming on and watching. I appreciate it. Have a good evening. What do y'all think about the leaves? Does it just take away from the bow? Kind of thinking it's a little bit too much with these gold leaves, but it kind of hides the bow. They're so strong. You love the leaves, Jennifer? Who else? Do y'all like the leaves like that? Susan likes them. Okay. You like them like I have them? Will that work? Okie dokie. We will get a little glue dot and get after it. Let's see. Get my little take a pick tool. And I think just a glue dot kind of on the end of those will hold them down. Just where it doesn't show, because the glue dot will show through there. So you just strategically place these. And again, you don't want the, well, that wasn't really where I wanted that glue dot, but okay, I got to move it. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. Again, I don't want the leaves pointing out of the card. I want it to kind of all flow together, as I've talked about before. So I'm glad y'all like the leaves. Glad you like the card. Thanks again for tuning in. I will flip the camera back up, and if you'll be patient while I flip it again, and then I'll say goodnight. I'm so excited to have y'all join me each week. Hope you'll ask your friends to join also. Whoops, didn't quite get it far enough up. Y'all don't want to see me that close up, I know. But thank you for tuning in. Glad you like the little Joy Fold card. And I think it's a beautiful fold. Like I said, I saw Mary Nabe did one fairly recently with the Hydrangea Hill Suite. See if I can get it get it close enough where you can see. Whoops, still not great at this here. But I think it's pretty with the stamped flower in there, and the You're So Special ties in. I love these 3 DSPs together. And I try to coordinate everything. If you've got one designer series paper like the flowers, I like to pick up the colors that are in that particular paper. So I went with this paper that has the pale papaya, and the green paper that has the mossy meadow and old olive. Old olive is the solid that I use tonight, the cardstock. And then just picked up those colors. And the flowers have the gold sparkle to them in the middle. I don't know if you can see any of those. See the little gold spots? And that's why I thought the gold foil went so well with it. But that's it for tonight, folks. Thanks again for tuning in. Will the one on the right interfere with opening? That's a good question. I don't see any reason. I think it's working. Oh, nope, I lost one, didn't I? I guess I lost one of the leaves. So yes, that was a good point. I just saw that. I think you're right, Eileen. It sure did. I lost it. Good point. Okay, we'll fix that later, and I'll move it some other way. Thanks again for tuning in, y'all. And please join my Facebook group that's called Create with Kelley Crew. I will be posting eventually things on there that are not on my page, and y'all can do cards. Like if you do a Joy Fold card like this with different paper, I would love to see that. Just post it on our Create with Kelley Crew group page, I have a page that's for Create with Kelley, and then there's a group that's part of that page that's called Create with Kelley Crew, and that's what you can post whatever you want on. So thanks again for tuning in. Thanks, Eileen, for that little tip. Sorry I didn't see it before I closed the card. I'm glad y'all like it. I'm glad you think it's a beautiful card. Thank you, Jennifer. And thank y'all so much for sharing. I appreciate that to help get my name out there. We want new people all the time enjoying joining our crew and being a part of getting inspired by each other. We really thank you again for coming, and y'all have a good evening, and we have fun times ahead. Tune into my blog at createwithkelley.com. Thanks. Bye-bye. It's not letting me end. Thanks, Susan. Bye-bye.